Hi, I'm Kathy Kennedy, the Peconic Land Trust Senior Outreach Manager, and I'm with Rick Bogusch at Bridge Gardens, where Rick is getting ready to start some seeds indoors, and we want to show you how you can do it too. Rick, why don't we get started?
Sure. Even though we're talking about starting seeds indoors today, I'm going to begin by saying what not to grow indoors, in terms of vegetables anyway. And these are best sown directly in the garden at the appropriate time. Plants like carrots, beets, spinach, arugula, cilantro, kale, chard, leaf lettuce, and radish. All those don't start indoors. You can do it. I've seen people do it, but I think you get much better results if you just do it directly in the garden. Now, there are plants I do start indoors every year, and those include artichokes, anything in the cabbage family like broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage, and lettuce and radicchio also. And then later, tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants. Those are the plants seeds I consistently start indoors every year. Let's talk about supplies a little and what you can do. I use, as a soil mix, I use a brand called ProMix, readily available. It's a sphagnum moss product with perlite and vermiculite mixed in with it, and provides drainage, moisture, but without being too moist, so that you don't get damping off. You can use whatever grow mix that you would like. I often use seed trays like this, which you can buy at the local store. They come with these cell packs, tray, so you can water and carry them around. And also, sometimes I use this greenhouse top if I want extra heat, extra moisture. There are new products on the market that are a bit biodegradable, and those are fine too. These come in different sizes. You can save them from year to year. So, you can use these again and again and again. You can use them again and again during the season, but you can also use them next year or the year after. Peat pots are also a possibility. These come in different sizes. I might use this size for zucchini, cucumbers, any sort of squash, winter squash. Maybe put 4 seeds in there, possibly thin later. Once they're up, you can always just pull off the bottom, maybe break off the top a little bit, and then plant the whole pot right in the ground without any root disturbance. That's a possibility. Let's see, it's good to label what you sow. I've made that mistake many times. You can buy these plastic labels, which you can use again and again and again. I use these wooden coffee stirrers, which when I'm done with them, that go into the compost heap. Sharpie helps, but you can use anything that you need. I'm just showing you what I use. I think you can just start seeds and grow them in a sunny windowsill if you want. But I like lights, and I have these lights here, and I also have a light stand over at the other part of the room, and that really helps plants that you're going to be growing for a while indoors before putting them outdoors. Especially for plants like tomatoes and peppers and eggplants, because you'll probably start those in early April, and you won't be able to put those out, in the garden until the end of May, early June.
So if you are interested in getting a grow light like that, where would you source them from?
I went online and went on Amazon, and that's where I got these.
We can add it to the list of resources that we're going to provide with the video.
That sounds good. And another thing I use, especially for plants like tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants, is bottom heat. Provided by a heat mat like this. Again, many seed companies sell heat mats. There are many different kinds. They're different sizes. I like this this one that is 4 feet long. They're pricey. They're an investment, but a couple $100 once you get the mat with the thermostat and so forth. But they last forever, and they really will make a difference in what you grow and how you grow it. So let's see. As I said, one of the first things that I start from seed. It's a little early. I mean, we're filming this in mid-February. I wouldn't start seeds of anything in the cabbage family probably until mid-March. So we're about a month early, but we'll see what happens starting with these. So they're little seeds.
Wow, they really are small.
These broccoli seeds, and you only want to cover them maybe an eighth or possibly a quarter of an inch. But I usually just maybe I usually put 3 for these per cell, and I just sort of make a tiny little depression in the soil, and then do my best to just put in 1 seed per divot. Forgot to divot that one.
I'm sure if you got more than one, you could thin it, right?
Oh yeah, yes, and a pair of tweezers helps. Some people are very careful about seeding. I am sometimes, and not at others. So now that they're in there, with this, I would just go and, bring the soil in around the plant, around the seed, and tamp it down a little bit. And basically that's it. If you feel that, you haven't covered it enough, have a little bit of vermiculite nearby and just sprinkle that on top as a little extra depth, and press. One thing I should have mentioned earlier is that with your growing medium, you should dampen it before you fill up your seed flats. It makes it a lot easier that way to do it. You can recover from not doing that, but it just makes it a lot easier if you do. So plants in the cabbage family, I start them on bottom heat, but because they are a spring crop, early summer crop, or fall crop, they like to grow cool. So after germination, I take them off the bottom heat and keep them cooler by either raising them up here under the lights or by moving them to the other stand, which doesn't have heat. After they germinate, plants like this, and I would include, besides anything in the cabbage family, even lettuce and radicchio, they also like to grow cool once they germinate. I will start moving them outside once temperatures get into the 40s or more, and put them out during the day, bring them in at night if it's going to drop down below 40. And that works really well. It's good for the plant to get used to being in outside and being in the cold, and it just gives you a stronger plant that way. It won't be as leggy. Now, an important thing to note is don't put the plants, these little seedlings, directly into full sun that first day. You need to put them in the shade first, gradually give them more and more light and acclimate them to full sun. You can also use, if you don't have a shady spot, you can also use the remay or the frost cover. That will cut down, maybe a couple layers of that will provide shade enough, and then you can gradually remove that. So if you're going to start tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, you would do that much later, say probably early April. But you would pretty much do it in the same way, and it would be important to give those plants bottom heat. And as much light as you can, and still until you can start putting them outside. And I wouldn't put a plant like that, a tomato or etc., out until the temperatures were well into the 50s. They don't like anything below 50. It will really stunt their growth if you do. So I think best to wait on that. But come April, we might get 50 degrees day. And even if it's just one day out of the week that you put them out there and then bring them in at night, it's worth it. I think it's worth it anyway. So let's see, when else do I start indoors? Lettuce. And lettuce, there are two ways of getting lettuce seed. And this is the conventional way. Whoops. This is an Optimo lettuce, a butterhead that I grow pretty much every year. And you can see it's really tiny. Lettuce doesn't like to be sown really deeply. So what I often do is, say if I'm using this kind of seed, I, again, like make a little depression, maybe two. And then I usually put like maybe a pinch or two of lettuce. You could be much more careful than I am and get with tweezers, just put in one seed or two seeds. But I do it this way, and then what I do is I thin later so that I end up with just two seedlings per cell, and they get put into the ground, and then after they're established, I get rid of one and just have one plant per spot, because this is head lettuce, and that's the best way you get head lettuce. You don't want them to be crowded too much. So usually what I do with these is I just cover them a bit with the vermiculite. And then they're not too deep. Light still gets down there and helps the seed germinate, and that's good. Now, there's another way of doing lettuce, and I like this, though there are a couple tricks, and that is lettuce comes in pelleted seed. And it's coated with an inert clay, those seeds that I showed you before. And it allows for much more accurate sowing. You could even sow these outside, 1 per inch and then thin later. But I still like to start these indoors. And so I'll just, again, maybe put a couple pellets in each cell. And pelleted seed are more expensive than conventional seed, but I like the control that they give me. So again, now I would put these, like maybe 1/8 of an inch deep, and again, cover. And you could also do the same thing with radicchio. And radicchio's, not everybody likes radicchio, but it's I do, and it's a very beautiful plant and crop, and I like the flavor. It likes a really cool growing season, so the earlier you can get it outside, but protected from frost, the better, or you do it as a fall crop too.
So Rick, now that you have sown the seeds, what do you do about watering? How do you care for them that way?
Well, I like to water from the bottom, and I do that for a number of reasons. You don't disturb the seeds that you just planted and splash them all over the place. It's awkward sometimes to get in there to water each individual cell without disturbing the seeds. And you're not wetting any foliage that might be up later, or creating the right environment for diseases like damping off and other fungal problems. So I just water from the bottom like this. Sometimes you have to, scoop the seed thing, the seed flat away, or pick it up and water in that way. But I think it's important to check your seeds every day, the seed tray, to see whether they need water or not. Don't overwater. Don't let the water in here sit and make the soil soggy. Only water when it's needed. But that's why it's important to check a lot. For some seeds require surface sowing. I can't think of any vegetable seeds that do, but a lot of flower seeds do, like flowering tobacco. Those you just sprinkle onto the surface, press them in, and then for those, after I fill the tray and get them nice and watered, I will use these little greenhouse tops so that the seeds don't dry out ever, and you get good germination that way. But even if it looks like it's starting to get too wet, too much condensation, just slide it off for a little bit and then slide it back on later. So I think that this sowing seeds and starting your own plants is very rewarding. We do that at Bridge Gardens a lot, starting now, in late winter and all the way through the season. We do a lot of succession plantings, and so we may move operations outside in June and July and all that during the summer, but it's something that we do a lot because, we really enjoy the feeling of doing what we just did and watching that plant grow to maturity and then perhaps serving it at your dinner table.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah. I know that following this video, we're going to be taking another video in middle March about getting the vegetable garden started outdoors. And so if this video has helped with some information, I do hope that you'll return to our website blog and check out the video then. Rick will be showing us how to plan and get the garden started in the soil right outdoors. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks, Rick.
Sure. Thank you.